Okay, in this episode we're going to go over holster solutions for a suppressed .22 pistol. As you can see on this table here, I've got a few different options and we're going to go over those right now. Okay, if you have a .22 suppressed pistol, you probably have had some hard time finding a holster solution. I'm going to go over a couple that I've found that work and then the price ranges. Number one here, this is the London Bridge Trading holy grail of suppressed pistol holsters out there, if you can find one. There is only one other that I find far superior to this, and that is Battlecloth. And Battlecloth, unfortunately, the creator of the company and the person who sewed them passed away sadly a few years ago. So there is really no new alternatives besides Coltec. I'm not going to get into theirs right now. It's a laser cut Molly chest holster. I did not want a chest holster. So what is cool about this? A lot of times .22 pistols, especially if you have a Ruger, it's kind of a retro pistol. This is made by London Bridge Trading, which is one of the old school. When I was in the military, we used London Bridge Trading stuff back in the 90s and beyond. It's made out of, great, 1,000 weight Kadura. It has that retro feel with this was for a magazine loader would go into there. And then it has two magazine pouches for your magazines. It's got the Fastex buckle. There's a piece of Kydex that runs down the full length inside. It has an open bottom. So when, like mine, which is kind of old school and very long, it will stick out the bottom. So what is bad about this though? They hardly make these. They only do these holsters now on limited runs. I was on a group buy and unfortunately they changed the color choice and they went to multicam black, which I think is the worst color choice in history. And the price. The price for these now, I did not pay that, but the price now on these holsters is $200. So I did not want to pay that. I mean, you're getting Alice clips. It's built great and it's a great holster, but it's not $200 great. So let's go look at some other alternatives that I have found. One of the best I have found is Uncle Mike's. Back in the 80s, 90s brand, Uncle Mike's makes this holster right here, which is made for a Ruger Mark, I can't remember which model, but one of the Ruger, the Mark or the 2245 slash, the typical Ruger pistol. It's made for the ones with the long barrel, like the 10-inch barrel. So as you can see, my suppressed pistol with the very long barrel fits into there really good. I found an Uncle Mike's belt on eBay and Uncle Mike's magazine pouch. So I can have a belt, a pouch, some spare magazines, and the belt. And the holster does have a thumb strap, which is adjustable, and it works pretty good. I think I paid from eBay like $20 for this holster, $10 for the belt, and then $10 for the magazine pouch. It's a cool retro camouflage, which is pretty neat. So let's go to the next option. This is another option. There's a brand from the 80s and 90s and whatever called Copeland. I'll show you the tag. The logo might look familiar. Or Copeland or whatever. I think now they make like ATV racks. Back in the 80s and 90s, they made a lot of soft goods. And believe it or not, these are made out of Kadura. They're pretty neat. And as you can see, the suppressed .22 fits in there perfectly and has a flap on it to protect it. It's got the old school, just a regular belt mount, mounted in there, but it's Kadura, it's padded. Because believe it or not, the London Bridge holster, it is not padded. I thought it was padded originally. And the Battlecloth ones are padded, but this is pretty cool. And you can find these in woodland and black. I have a woodland one and I have this black one, and they are pretty cool. And I even bought a couple of these, because these holsters are like, you can find these for like 10 bucks on eBay all the time. The Copeland, just cheap, padded holsters, because everybody wants tactical Kydex, and nobody wants these old school holsters. So you can find them pretty cheap and just have the seller measure it to make sure your pistol will fit. I just found one other option, and it was from an eBay seller, It is the Uncle Mike's again, but it is the one made for the Blackhawk pistol. What's cool about this is if you have a Ruger pistol with a flashlight mounted to it, here's the holster, you can see how much extra space you have right there. So if you had a flashlight mounted on here, and also if you had an optic mounted on here, this is made for revolvers that have scopes on them. So you could fit this on here. There's enough room that if it's got a tactical light on here and then an optic, since it's like an RMR, which I plan on doing. I want to get the new version of this with the rail down here and then put an RMR on it. But what's cool about this, you can mount it on a belt right there, but then it's also got this shoulder strap thingy so you can put it over, but it does have a belt loop. So if I put it on my belt here, it's got a snap and then it would fit. And I like the covered ones just because it protects the pistol quite a bit. And as you can see right there. And this thing, believe it or not, I just won it on eBay. Woodland camo, which is, you know, God's plaid, as they say. Brand new condition with a nice strap that I'm probably not going to use because I'm going to mount it on the belt. But this strap is really nicely built that I could use for a sling on something else. I mean, metal buckles. It's really nice. And believe it or not, on these models, you can take the flap off, and the flap is totally adjustable. And you can see, you can just slip it off, the flap comes off, and you can just make it an open top. It's just like a scabbard. And that one I paid, I want to say less than $20 on eBay. So you can find some cheap alternatives out there. If you don't want to spend, you know, $200 on the London Bridge, the cold tack, I believe, is like $100, which is still for laser cut, you know, moly, thin, you know, material. And in general, laser cut for me does not last as long as regular moly stuff because it ends up fraying around the, it just, for me personally, I did not want to spend that much money on a laser cut moly one. I'm not a fan of laser cut moly. If I was in the government, you know, still in the military and they were paying for my equipment, I'd use laser cut all the time because it saves weight with the expense of durability long term. I tend to buy stuff that I'm going to keep long term for decades. Unless Coltac wants to send me a holster, I will try it out and give a long-term and short-term review. Always open for that, wink wink. But if not, I'm very happy with these Copeland and Uncle Mike's holsters. Hit eBay, hit, you know, Etsy, all these, and try to find one of these. They are out there, and save some money and get a cool holster that's very period correct for your pistol. If you have an older Ruger or something like that style. I grew up in the 90s and 80s when like the suppressed Rugers were like pretty awesome. They still are. And it is probably my most used pistol that I have to this day. This current one right there. And so hopefully this was helpful. Thanks again, and until next time. Big camera. I'm still waiting for the temperature in my water to be perfect. It's still warming up. I'm gonna end it there. Thanks. Like and subscribe. I gotta support this shirt because it was a gift. And I love it. I do. So thanks again. Bye.